So at Claremont, what we do is we help our clients to create the most invigorating, efficient environments for their people to operate in. We employ around about 105 people, and that's right from sort of quite a large design department through QSs. So we've got good control of the quality of the solutions right through from inception through to actually physical delivery of those environments. We became employee-owned in December last year, so in December 2020. And the reason was that I had an ageing population within the shareholders and the board, and we were looking for a really good solution to enable some of those to depart from the business and reap some rewards for all the hard work they put in. But we wanted to make sure that we had a mechanism in place that allowed us to have a transition team and then allowed us to have a really good solution for succession planning. So we looked at various options, and if I'm honest, at the start of it, the EOT wasn't my preferred option. But the more I got involved in looking at it and the more advice I got from our professional advisors, it was a bit like Saul on the road to Damascus, actually. It was a real sea change for me. And I became really passionate about the whole idea.
I think Claremont being employee-owned is one of the greatest things for me. I came just out of university, and I know the first thing that I wanted when I worked for a company was to see like a future and progression. And I think us being employee-owned, this constant succession planning for who's going to next run the organisation or who's going to step up into which role. And for me, that was the biggest thing, because I wanted a career that would develop me as a person and I could see a clear progression path. And Claremont being employee-owned is just the perfect foundation for this.
With some of the previous employers I worked for, they were very profit-driven, whereas here we are very people-driven. We make sure that we put people first, and we can certainly feel it with initiatives we do around the well-being, around our workplace. We do a lot of social. Our Engage survey, that gives us so much feedback, and we always act on it. So I think one of the main things is that we are really that people-focused business, and I can feel it, and I could feel it before we became EOT, but even more so now.
Culturally, we've always had a very inclusive culture within the organisation, but what I was concerned about, and what the SLT were concerned about, was that when we went into lockdown and we shut the office, whilst our sites were still operable because we're classed as construction, so the site guys were working, everybody else was working from home. We didn't want a two-tier system. We wanted to make sure that whilst we were and did utilise the furlough system, then we were fortunate enough to be able to top everybody up, because I didn't want anybody feeling as if they were lesser because they were furloughed, because it wasn't their fault. Some of the other things that we looked at were, whereas we normally do a quarterly town hall, we were doing videos and sending them out, or I was doing live videos on a weekly basis, just to keep all the teams informed about where we were, how we were doing, just make them feel that their jobs were safe, we were still successful through it. So for us, I say the whole idea of resilience is you look after your people, because that means they're looking after your clients. You look after your clients and they'll keep on coming back. And that's our simple way of achieving the resilience for us, and it's worked really well.
As we got into the lockdown, obviously it was an incredibly tough time for everyone on the planet, even people that didn't have extra struggles. So due to some personal circumstances, I actually struggled a lot, even before the lockdown, to be quite honest. And I honestly can't speak highly enough of what this company did to get me through it. It was quite bad. There was points when I wasn't even performing, and literally Claremont did everything they possibly could in order to get me back on the right tracks. They give me time off. They managed my workload without me even knowing about it, which I found out after the fact, just to ensure that I wasn't getting overloaded with work. I think Claremont are a massive part of me getting through the struggles that I did go through, to be quite honest. Yeah.
Business has always been a great business to work for and always had a very people-centric culture, but I have noticed throughout the last couple of years how we've kind of tweaked the structure of the business, and also becoming an EOT obviously has had a bit of an impact, but we're very much more focused around our people and looking for opportunities for people to progress into different roles, and we've got quite specific roles and teams and a better layout within the business.
I think I'm proud of being an employee of an employee-owned company. I think the biggest benefit for myself is that ultimately I can see that there's a future in the company and that the directors have made the decision to make it an employee-owned company for the future. A lot of other companies are, owned by certain stakeholders or shareholders, and at that point when they decide to, retire or move on, the company could then be passed into someone else's hands, and it may not go in the direction that it was going before. So I think the way the EOT system works is that the staff turnover really, and the people who are going through the business ultimately have the goal to make the company profitable for the future and for years to come really.